This is open to the public portion. We ask that speakers refrain from remarks that are not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board. Please note the village board is not legally required to permit the public to speak at board meetings or hold public comment, although meetings must be open to the public under the open meetings law. A board meeting is not a meeting of the public, but rather a meeting held in public so those in attendance can observe the board discussing and conducting business. There will be two opportunities for public comment. The first opportunity will be strictly for action coming before the board at tonight's meeting. If speakers violate this provision, the board may immediately end that speaker's time, and they also elect to suspend the violator's privilege to speak at public comment for a period of time. At the conclusion of the meeting, anyone wishing to speak about any topic will be given the opportunity. During this period, the proceedings will not be recorded or televised, as public comment is not required. During each portion, speakers will be given 3 minutes to speak. Please note that obscenities, defamatory statements, threats of violence are not protected by the First Amendment and will not be permitted during public comment. In addition, we ask that all individuals conduct themselves in a civil and respectful manner. Anyone engaging in disruptive activities such as shouting or outbursts will be addressed accordingly. If there are disruptions, we may be forced to close public comment or remove disruptive individuals. First speaker of this evening is Mark Twitchell.
Thank you, Mayor. The most recent lawsuit against the Village Board's latest water improvement plan did not include economic impact to the village. There has been only one comprehensive analysis of cost to the village if the plan is completed. That analysis was done in 2025 by retired village treasurer and village administrator Jim Sedota. The analysis finds that the cost of water to the village customers will increase to $28 per 1,000 gallons of water. The analysis also finds that the village could upgrade its existing water treatment plant and reservoir to meet the standards imposed by New York State and Chautauqua County Health Department while still saving $52 million over the cost of the proposed plan over a 30-year period. This analysis is in agreement with the latest Labella engineering report, which finds that the least expensive option for the village is to keep and upgrade its existing facilities. One example of the increased cost of the proposed plan is the cost of electricity to process and distribute water from the Dunkirk water plant to village customers. The cost was not listed in the environmental assessment form, which was approved by this board. The 2025 cost of electricity in Dunkirk was $240,000 to process water and pump it to customers. The cost of electricity to process and distribute village water was $26,000, almost 10 times cheaper. Most of the village's electricity savings on its own water system result from its use of free gravity to move water. The cost of electricity to move water from Dunkirk to Fredonia to the Fredonia water districts will obviously increase due to the requirement to pump all water uphill. And we are being told that the new water system will be gravity fed. I clearly don't understand whoever would tell us that and why they would expect us to believe it. Now, I do have a couple copies here of Jim Sedota's analysis, if anybody would care to receive one. Thank you.
Andrew Ludwig.
Fear-mongering is defined as the deliberate strategic use of exaggerated, misleading, false rumors of impending danger to induce fear, anxiety, or panic in a group of people, usually to manipulate behavior, gain or further an agenda. Fear-mongering exploits human instincts that prioritize threats, and it's often used in politics. I have watched the mayor and members of this board fearmonger for going on 3 years now. The latest example of fearmongering made the front page headlines in The Observer last week. The mayor was quoted in The Observer stating that Fredonia has no other choice but to join the North County Water District, and the village will be a ghost town unless this plan goes forward. He rattled off some numbers stating that it will cost hundreds of millions of dollars to upgrade the water treatment plant, dam, and reservoir, while it will only cost 17, 20, 22 million to upgrade the, to join the North County Water District. Where did these numbers come from? Where did they come from? Did you pull them out of thin air? I don't recall seeing any figures in either Labella report stating that it will cost hundreds of millions of dollars to upgrade the water treatment plant dam and reservoir. Didn't see that anywhere. Be reminded that both LaBella reports that I sat through stated plainly that it was less expensive to upgrade than to join the North County Water District. As a matter of fact, a representative from LaBella told me at the second LaBella report that it was more expensive to join the North County Water District, but you were going to join the North County Water District based on non-financial reasons. It's on YouTube. It's still there. You can look it up if you like. Other examples of fear-mongering by this board. The water treatment plant is going to fall into Canterbury Creek because of erosion. The dam is so unsafe it could burst. It can't be insured. We need to decommission it. Boil water orders will continue unless we join the North County Water District. The village will not be able to get grant money from New York State unless we join the North County Water District. The reservoir is only 14 feet deep, and it needs to be dredged. And the dredging at the bottom of the reservoir is so toxic, it needs to be hauled away in thousands and thousands of dump trucks and taken to a toxic waste site. None of these statements have ever been backed up by any kind of professional data, by any kind of professional engineering report. So that begs the question, why weren't they in the LaBella engineering report? Why was none of this in the engineering report? You signed a $2.69 million contract with LaBella, the same company that didn't provide you with this information. And by the way, what is their experience in working with water projects? How many water projects has a LaBella group worked on? How many projects have they done? You don't have the facts to prove your claims, so you have to resort to fear-mongering. Meanwhile, a report done by former village administrator James Sedota showing that it will be $52 million more expensive to join the North County Water District than to simply upgrade has been ignored.
Thank you. Michelle Twitchell.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to address the budget. I know you're passing a 4% increase for our budget this year, and that's on top of what we already increased last year. So it's over 60% increase in 2 years that people will be paying. Going through that budget, I happened to notice that the department heads, I know last year we did not give them a raise. This year, they're getting a 6% raise, except for one person. But I really think you didn't take a close look at this. If we're in such dire straits, why did you hand out a 6% increase in salaries? And also, I did want to talk about Temple Street, the road. We often have to go up and down Temple Street. I live on Temple. When are you going to fix that? And also Central Avenue. You have to veer into the other lane so as not to hurt your vehicle. And I'd like to present that to the board. When exactly will that be fixed? And one other comment I have to make is about the supervisor of DPW. Why is he allowed to make Facebook comments during his working hours? I know when I was a trustee, we told everyone you can't go onto Facebook and make any comments. And clearly, he is breaking this law that we had put forward. So I ask you again, why is he allowed to make Facebook comments? Thank you.
Cara Christina.
So you're going to hear, again, some facts and figures that have already been shared, but they bear repeating. So Mayor Ferguson was quoted in The Observer saying that Fredonia has no other option for providing safe, clean water than connect to the North County Water District. That is patently false. Trustees were provided information on two options by LaBella. They chose the one which was substantially more convoluted and expensive. The mayor and the trustees were also provided with facts and figures from former village treasurer Jim Sedota, which other people have mentioned, and which you've all seen, that illustrated that improving our own water treatment plant and staying independent rather than being dependent on another entity over a 30-year period would be $52 million less. $52 million less over the course of 30 years than joining the North County Water District. Now, I know some of the trustees have, said those figures are wrong or they're not accurate. Well, have you looked at them? Have you looked at them carefully? Have you compared them? Judge Hanlon may have found in your favor technically, but that does not mean that your plan to abandon a fresh water source, a utility owned by all the residents of the village, is smart or a prudent course of action. And P.S., talking about Facebook, it is wholly inappropriate for a sitting elected official to make an appeal on his Facebook for people to basically harass the plaintiffs in the lawsuit for exercising their rights. Shame on you. The plaintiffs are also your constituents. Thank you.
Dady Sedota.
Thank you. We're hearing a lot about Jim Sedota tonight. He was like, the angel boy. But I knew him quite well. And a day before he passed away, he called me and said, I'm so excited. I've run the numbers, and it's just bombshell. If we join the water district, we're going to be so sorry. And then after he passed, when we went, to get all of his things together, we found a stack like this. He looked at everything. He looked at, if we do it this way, if we do it that way, if we build a new plant, whatever we do, he said, any way you look at it, he said, it's a no-brainer. He also said, I've talked to the mayor and I've talked to trustees. He said, they don't get it. He said, the trustee who was supposed to be the claims auditor said, oh, I just give it to Alyssa. I don't have to worry about that. He said these trustees do not understand finances, and that's okay. When you're elected to a board, you don't have to know finances. But damn it all, you can't listen to somebody who has 40 years of experience in municipal government. And we're talking about not just Fredonia. He did audits for all of the area, municipalities before he became treasurer. He came here week after week, and you guys all sat there, just like you're doing right now. You just sat there and looked at the ceiling and, oh dear, okay? But I'm saying he did his work, he did his homework, and I'm here to tell you that, we're back right where we started. 2 years ago I came, and I started coming here because of a student, Ray Dye, who's here tonight, who's going to Columbia University next year. But I came here not interested in this at all. But now, I've been to Mayville twice, and the mayor said he's vindicated. You know what? We've gone to Mayville twice. First time you lost. Second time, we lost. Okay? So, lawsuits are a last resort. We don't do that lightly. We think we wanted to do that, but no one on that board reached out to us to talk to us, really, except allowing us to ask questions to the engineers. And by the way, the engineers, they came here and said, we don't have any experience with water. They said at the last meeting. So why did you hire them 2 years ago if they don't know anything about reservoirs and water? Because I'm more worried about that dam and that reservoir than I am about Dunkirk's water. And I'm also more concerned about the mayor trying to villainize those of us who are here. We're taking the time to be here. I'm an educator, and I'm just shocked. The only trustee who's really asked a question that we could relate to, she's not here tonight. Okay, Leanne asked the engineers, when I turn on my shower, is water coming out? And because LaBella's saying, oh, we're going to give you, a gravity-fed system. We already have that. And they're not giving us a gravity-fed system. When you're pumping water uphill, you need electricity, you need pumps, you make noise. So, but I'm sorry that you feel vindicated, and I'm sorry that you feel the need to villainize us. But we are your constituents. We pay your taxes, and, it's just too bad that we have to end up in a court. And it doesn't have to be that way. Open dialogue can happen, but it's not what we've seen here for 2 years. And we're right back where we were 2 years ago. And I blame you for it, and I don't do that often. Okay. I also want to compliment Alyssa, too, because Jim always spoke very highly of her. And so she's here at the, most of what I'm saying has to do with the men on the board, actually, who were here 2 years ago when this started. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheryl Balin.
So there is a way to stop the lawsuits. A referendum to let the people in the village and the town vote on what they want done with our reservoir. That's the answer. You want the lawsuits to stop? Do what other boards have done in the whole history of Fredonia. All the projects that ever were done here were always done with a referendum for the village residents to vote on. Even most recently, when they wanted to raise this building, knock it down and build a new one, that board of trustees didn't make anyone pass a petition in order to have the people of the village vote. They made a referendum and allowed everyone in the village to have their say. This isn't a Kings, okay? The No Kings people, I wish they were here. Because there's several of you from the former board who think that you can sit there and dictate to the village residents what's going to happen with our reservoir. And I'm telling you, it's not done yet. It's not over. Because what you did, I'm new to this dance, okay? I'm late to the dance. But you people, have ignited the fire in the belly. Okay? And it's not over. You came to my house when you were running, and we had a 20-minute conversation on my sidewalk. Not once did you mention your interest in the North County Water District or what you were going to do with it.
That was not even an option at the time.
Okay, but there wasn't any talk about it?
Zero.
Okay. Okay, good. Then somewhere along the line, what tainted you? What turned you against the people who voted for you? You stood on my property and told me what a wonderful job you were going to do for the residents of the village. I didn't see you, and I didn't see you, okay? And I didn't see you come to my house, but he did. You're not going to answer?
I'm listening.
Okay. So if this North Water County project goes through, how many jobs are going to be lost? How many village jobs are going to be lost? Do we know that?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay.
Catherine Nelder.
Hi. Basically, I'm neutral on the water system because I haven't reviewed all the facts. As everybody knows, I'm the ADA queen. So, first thing in the paper, he said that the lawsuit stopped the millions of dollars they were going to get to the federal government. That's partially right. The other reason is me, because I notified the state and proved that the village of Fredonia was not ADA compliant. You cannot receive any funds from federal government or the state unless you're ADA compliant. In fact, they held up the New York Main Street grant until the state was satisfied. That's number one. Number two, with the $40 flat fee, I averaged 8,000 gallons in 3 months. Why? Because I conserve water. I come from Massachusetts, which water is extremely expensive. So I have new appliances. I don't run the water when I brush my teeth. I don't run the water when I do dishes. And even if I have a little load, I use my dishwasher because it's more efficient. With the $40 flat rate, that makes the $60.80 for my 8,000 gallons, plus $40 is $100.80. Divided by 8, that's $12.60 a thousand that I am going to pay because you're imposing a flat rate on me when I'm in the right by conserving water. That's just ridiculous. There are other ways to do it. Again, from Massachusetts, it used to be the water system would decide what is the average use. People who use 20% less got a discount. People who use 20% more got an increase. Whoever got average paid the average rate. Instead, you're dumping a $40 flat rate on the people who conserve, which is wrong. Number 3 is the tax rate. I've studied Erlis's finances. She's really good. Again, I didn't go to college, but I was a marketing department manager and a licensed stockbroker, so I can read financial reports. My question is, with the DPW illegally using village assets, is why haven't you gone after the money that they wasted? I had the village sewer snake at my property without my permission 10 times, and then an 11th time with a cut through the pipe. There was at least 3 employees, plus the sewer snake, plus 2 trucks. How much did that cost for 2 hours? $1,000 each time? That's 10 grand you need to get back. And in addition, he apparently used, per Channel 2, village equipment for his own business. I'm sorry, if he has his own business, you need to get the money back. And the problem with that is now I don't trust your budget. You don't know where your hard assets are. You don't know what they're worth. Yeah, you know your money, but you don't know what trucks you have, what trucks you should have had, how old they are, how much they were depreciated, how much they should have been depreciated. Thank you.
Mrs. Landis.
You have to suffer me without it. So, I have a question. I'm here because I have a question about something that you, Mayor, said a few times now. And the last time was about, I think, 2 meetings ago. I believe it was this lady who asked the question about a referendum. And you keep saying the same thing. You keep saying that we tried twice, presumably us, and we were not even close to the number. And then you said something about a law, that the law requires 20% of registered voters to push a referendum. Which law is that? Not New York State law, because I have it right here. According to New York State law, you need qualified electors equal to at least 20% of the total number of voters that will cast a vote at the last general election within that village.
Right.
Right. Well, so what's the difference? The difference is this. We have 4,000 registered voters. 20% of 4,000 is 800. Well, out of these 4,000, at the last general election, was about a little less than 1,900 that cast a vote. And I know that because I called the county and I got the number. 20% of that number is 372. It's a huge difference between 372 and 800. And I brought you 302 or 303, something
319.
like that. Okay. So I was not at the 372, that's correct, but I was not 400 signatures less. So that's a big thing. And Mr. Wendell, Trustee Wendell, you just said that you didn't know anything about the North County Water District at the last election. Okay, I accept that. But this is one more reason for you to ask the people what they think. Because when you come to my door, or anybody's door, you come with an agenda. You come with a platform. And I vote for you based on that platform. My vote to you is not a blank check to make decisions about everything and anything in the village. I never took that as when I was voted in. I never thought that just because somebody voted for me, I could make decisions about everything and anything. You have a platform, and I trust you to follow that platform. You didn't know anything about North County Water District? Referendum. Ask the people, trust the people. So, I mean, that was it.
Thank you.
very much.
That closes the first portion of public meeting. Oh, Jim, I'm sorry, you were on the third. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Sam's on there too.
Well, good evening, James Linden. First of all, the seeker in question was a seeker for the project of your choice. The seeker does not vindicate or validate the water project to be the best choice or in the best interest of the people. That's my one statement on that. My next thing has to do with the tax cap. The mayor had stated that the tax cap, according to the comptroller, is apparently a mere suggestion of somewhere between 2% and 5%, and he said that he should do it annually. Well, the state comptroller, Mr. DiNapoli, explicitly stated to all communities, it's 2% tax cap this year. 2%. You're required to stay within 2% of your budget. Now, there are tools to go over in stress, of course. But you're supposed to try and make it happen. Now, last year, you went over the tax cap, and you charged us an increase of 56%, and then you borrowed $800,000 also. And you said that that would make it so it's possible to be within your budget, and you could solve some issues with the not having a fund balance. Well, so I took a look at your budget for this year, and you want a 4% increase. Now, that's what it says, $63.90 per thousand. Well, I did the figuring on your second page, on your third page actually for your revenues, and 4% was calculated correctly on that page, but it's actually $63.70. That's a difference. Now, so I wonder why you're going over the tax cap when you said that you were solved your problems with that massive increase. And I looked through the budget, and I found spending. I found spending of pay raises of somewhere in the neighborhood of 6% throughout here and there, and other expenses where you could have made the hard decisions you said you were going to make. I saw no hard decisions. There's lots of spending. But you should have stayed within the tax cap, the 2%. What happened last year, over this whole year? That's a lot of spending, and you're over $1 million in deficit to start this budget. You have no fund balance to start. You actually have a negative fund balance to start this new budget of over $1 million. So, are you going to have to borrow more money? Whatever. But I warned you at the beginning of your budget. I came here, I told you those numbers, and you are right at those numbers.
Thank you, Jim. Sam Drayle.
Thank you, Mayor, board members. Regarding the Labella contract, which is $2.7 million, did the village attorneys review it? And if so, did they send a letter to the board approving the contract, including comments to the village board? Did you get a letter from the attorneys?
Ask the treasurer.
We did receive confirmation, not a letter, but just the
Nothing in
response
writing?
email.
No, yeah, nothing, no letter in writing, though.
Just the email stating
Okay.
that they were okay with it.
I don't believe the board's had the opportunity or adequate time to review the contract and exhibits and ask questions, because the contract is lengthy, at least 40 pages long, and involves expenditure of a large sum of money. Does the contract clearly allow the village to recover all damages and fully indemnify the village if something goes wrong? You need written assurance from the village attorneys that the Labella contract fully protects the interests of the village. An important question which I can't figure out because I haven't seen any information on it, needs to be clear. Who is selling the water to the village? Is it the North County Water District or is it the town of Pomfret? I haven't seen any clear information on that. What are the terms and conditions of any contracts that the village must adhere to? And what are the rights of the village under any of these contracts? We haven't seen them. How are the rates to be determined? Again, there's no information on this before the board or the public to review. The Labella engineers said at a recent meeting about 10 days ago at the village that it would still have a gravity-fed system with a new water tower. What Labella didn't mention at the meeting is that the water tower would cost $1.5 million and that the water itself would have to be continually purchased from a district or the Pomfret, whichever one the village was going with. Pumping stations would be needed to continually pump the water uphill to the town or village water tower, that the pumping stations consume large amounts of electricity, which are now at a very high rates and will continue to increase. That generators will be needed in case the pumps failed, as it's necessary to continually pump water to the tower. What the engineers are referring to is a very expensive artificially made gravity system. The present village gravity system fed from the uphill reservoir is basically free from all those costs. Now, the North End Water District. Has any proposed contracts been received by the board from the North County Water District? I don't see how the board can move forward and spend $2.7 million in engineering fees without an acceptable contract with the North County Water District or the town of Pomfret. An analogy would be, would you agree to buy a home if you didn't first inspect it, agree upon a price and all the terms and conditions of buying the home, including a mortgage commitment? It needs to be clear that the North County Water District will not include any cost to the village isn't benefiting from. We don't have that assurance.
Thank you, Sandy. I think I got everybody on the list this time. Let me check real quick. Yes. Everybody else is signed up for after this session.
I just have one letter.
We have correspondence?
To Mayor Ferguson and the Board of Trustees for the Village of Fredonia. Hello, there's a big problem with the water usage figures being used by Labella and the Chautauqua County Health Department. I have discussed this with some of you as well as Treasurer LeBeau as long ago as spring of 2024 when the Chautauqua County Health Department described significant deficiencies in our system back in 2023. It was determined that the water treatment plant was processing 1.32 million gallons per day on average, but the village was billing for approximately 850,000 gallons per day. This represented an approximate 40% loss in our system, which is obviously a problem. Diligent work by Department of Public Works Head Scott Marsh, Water Treatment Plant Operator Louis Fred, Treasurer LeBeau, and Trustee Esperson finally determined that we were in fact not losing that water, but our intake meter was incorrect. This should be good news, but in fact that these numbers persist in all of Labella's presentations and propositions, as well as the most recent Chautauqua County Health Department consent order, is a huge problem. These figures are used for current and future village water needs as well as fire prevention calculations. They also do not take into consideration the fact that the town of Pomfret is rapidly moving forward with their plan to purchase water from North Chautauqua County Water District. Once they are no longer Village of Fredonia water customers, this will further decrease the demands on our existing system. It is imperative that we correct these figures as soon as possible so that our current and future decisions are based on our actual water usage. It will and should affect our decision moving forward. Until the ramifications of these water usage figures are integrated into Labella projections and Chautauqua County Health Department consent order, I strongly urge you to place on hold any plans to abandon the millions of dollars in sunk costs like our new clarifiers that we are still paying for in the new chlorination system in our existing reservoir and water treatment plant. I'm not saying that nothing should be done or that everything is fine. I'm saying that we need to move forward in a more informed manner. This unfortunately leads me to my second and related point. My My understanding of the proposed 26-27 village budget is there will be a general fund balance of approximately $113,000. This seems very short-sighted. As a village resident, I do not want you to raise taxes for no reason, but the New York State standard of having a budget that maintains a 10 to 15% reservoir or reserve is not arbitrary. It is based on decades of statewide experience, and our most recent year would point directly to exactly this type of need. Issues such as the major water and sewer breaks at Temple and Central, or the unplanned cost for the new screw pumps at the sewage treatment plant. These types of issues will certainly continue to arise. If we continue to lurch from emergency to emergency, then we will never move forward. Please either make the cuts or raise the rates to ensure that the village has the funds it needs to thoughtfully move forward, instead of utilizing the scarcity mindset. Thank you, David Fridman.
Did they tell you the depth of the reservoir? Is it more than 14 feet?
They didn't tell me the depth, they told me the volume.
Okay. So they must know the depth though to determine the volume, I would think. You know, it's a mathematical formula. So is it your opinion that the reservoir is only 14 feet deep?
My opinion is that the volume is 200 million gallons.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the facts that I heard.
Okay. I guess, Trustee Wandel, you talked about investigating the standard operating procedures of the water treatment plant. And it appears that the last few boil water orders were caused by human error. And so maybe at some point you could review how the water treatment plant is staffed, like how many people are there every day, how many days of the week they work, how many hours a day that are there. I mean, we just had a boil water order because of turbidity that was blamed on heavy rain. And then after a few days, the turbidity issue was taken care of by adding some chemicals. And then we had more rain. We had more rain than we had when it caused the boil water order. So I guess I'm just kind of confused about that. And I guess the last thing I want to say is, if Labella and this board had shown the public facts and figures indicating that it was actually hundreds of millions of dollars more to upgrade the water treatment plant dam and reservoir than the adjoining North County Water District, I wouldn't be standing here right now. I'd be at BJ's getting some nice 50-cent wings. Trustee Wandel, you promised to have a water forum. It can't come soon enough.
It's in the works.
Good. Just you let me know, because I'm going to state right now, I don't want questions to be filtered. I want answers to the questions that I'm asking, and they should be verifiable facts and not fear-mongering like I've been listening to for going on 3 years.
Just so you know, Mr. Ludwig, we present facts.
Well, I just asked you for a fact. How deep is the reservoir?
It varies.
Okay, well, I've got people that work for you putting on Facebook the reservoir is only 14 feet deep. People that work for you telling the public misinformation. Okay? I still haven't heard from the mayor. Hundreds of millions of dollars to upgrade the water treatment plant dam reservoir. Where did those numbers come from?
Andrew, we're not going to go through this every week, okay?
We sure are. I mean, answer my question. You just told me you gave me answers. You just said you gave answers. And you don't want it on TV because you can't say where you came up with your numbers.
Well, we've also told all of you that you're more than welcome to come in and talk to us anytime. You don't do it until the TV cameras are on, which is why you want the TV cameras on.
Because
It's
I
not
want the
your
public to
personal
know that
show.
you're making up numbers.
No, we're not making up numbers.
Well, then tell me where you got these numbers.
James Linden.
Your Labella report's on TV.
It's on TV.
It's recorded on YouTube. Your Labella report's on YouTube. And he clearly states it's more expensive to go with the North County Water District than to upgrade. And he said you're doing it for non-financial reasons. Look it up.
Oh, I will.
You were here.
Good.
I can't wait for your forum.
We'll keep it posted.
Okay, we'll talk just a little bit more about this tax capping and the budget. And throughout the year, there were union contracts agreed to and negotiated. And if you're knowing that you were in such financial straits where you're going to have a, let's see, where are we with that? You're going to end the year and then start the new budget with a $1,777,448 negative fund balance. I would think that you would try to stay within the tax cap in your negotiations on any contracts, keeping you down, knowing where it was going to be. And that any raises, if you could figure out some way to have a fund balance, which obviously your fund balance is going to be basically nothing, even after this. So anyhow, even after the increase. So you would try to stay within the tax cap on any raises, under the tax cap, a tax cap of 2%, like the comptroller explicitly states. Why was that not negotiated? Why isn't that stressed? Your village governing body has no money. Now, I don't know if this is intentional, because I hear these stories of wanting to merge with other communities. Or is it incompetence? I don't know which one it is, but it sure looks pretty bad. There was just an article in the newspaper calling Dunkirk's budget the doomsday budget. And you guys want to merge with them. It talks about merging with the doomsday community. How could that possibly make any sense for anybody to look further into it or spend money on studies to go with your neighboring community who has a doomsday budget? Seriously. Stop those waste of times. Pay attention to our community. You were hired to represent these people. Fiscal responsibility is your top duty. You have not proven that you are capable. Last year, this year, go ahead and smile.
I want to ask Jim, what did you do for the 12 years you were here about the water program? What did you do about it? Because we're still paying for it now. What did you do about the infrastructure? Hold
on. We did millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars of upgrades. Yes, millions.
You can go downstairs and find them.
Okay.
It's not in my house.
What about the dredging? What about the insurance? How come you didn't get the dam insured in 20 years? And you were here 12.
What are you going to do now?
Get the spillway fixed,
what are you doing?
You were here. We're trying to fix the freaking problem.
We started with what we.
So are you fixing it?
To have my. You don't want to.
Jim, you can sit here and spill it. You sat in that seat for 12 years, and now we have a
$8 years.
multi-million-dollar
Eight.
He was we have a list of priorities, Mike. Stop. Mike, we had a list of priorities. We had a list of priorities. We started with our priorities. We found the money.
And water obviously wasn't.
It was
Thank
too.
you very much.
Absolutely, it was.
All right.
How do you think the clarifiers got replaced? How do you think the
We didn't cost the
filter vents got
village.
replaced?
We didn't cost the village a single cent. We put $2 million in the wastewater, $5 million in the wastewater treatment plant, not a cent to the village, $2 million in the water thing, 6 streets. We changed all the plumbing in 6 streets, $1.5 million. We found all that. Yes, you don't have a massive want to do it from one day to the next.
Right.
Okay, but you put priorities and you do one after the other. We went to the state, they suggested first fix the plant, then you fix the reservoir. Because reservoir to fix is a very difficult thing to find money. And it doesn't cost $200 million or $120 million.
We'll show you the numbers on those numbers are presented. But thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that's tonight's meeting. I want to thank the.
Can I say something?
You had not signed up, but go ahead.
Oh, I didn't realize there were 2
That's all
different
right.
sign
That's
ups.
okay.
Thank you.
Well, while you're getting, I do want to thank the students for being here tonight from the Fredonia High School government class, correct? Thank you.
The first thing I want to request is a full audit of all hard assets. You spent almost $250,000 in 2 new plow trucks, but we don't know what assets, hard assets, the DPW actually has and what state they're in. We also don't know what hard assets the police department has and what state they're in, the fire department and any other village vehicles. Have they been used properly or have they been overused and not correctly itemized? And the other thing I have to say is that the water here is a mess. No doubt about it. Everybody had it handed, no doubt about it. But the rule, you're elected to govern. That's your pure motive to govern. You didn't enforce the ADA for decades. That got you into some financial things because I finally had enough because nobody would talk to me, nobody would cooperate with me, so I went to the state. You also have a problem with the gift and act because you can't accept gifts even from employees. It's against the law. Again, your job is to govern. You need to know the law. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.